All right. Hello, guys. We are back for the third installment, third lesson this week, 1.06. Again, I'm not going to show you all this stuff down here. Just be sure to check out this calendar to see what we're doing this week. And be sure that you're always checking my newsletter, especially on Mondays. Also on Mondays, be sure that you check your email and your grades. You should check your email every day and check the announcements every day. But check my newsletter at least on Monday or in that email I send out. Be sure that you read it all and refer back to it because lots and lots of important links. And check your grades by clicking here every Monday to make sure you don't have any Monday morning zeros. All right, let's get into that content and get cracking on 1.06. Okay, so as you can see, we finished 105. We're going to scroll down here on the side and do 106. It has a learn and an assessment. So here's the learn. And we're going to go to lesson introduction. Always start there. Excellent. If you have taken music lessons of some kind, piano, voice, drums, violin, you know the hard work that goes into the fun of learning to perform. The musician in today's story knew the effort was worth the trouble because of his great joy to play the cello. And again, we're going to open up the student guide and we're going to identify character traits and motivations, compare and contrast two authors' presentation of events, formulate opinions and personal responses after reading, recognize devices used by an author to achieve the purpose, including language, organization, or structure. Materials, let's go ahead and grab this graphic organizer while we're at it. Oh, and let me move myself so that we can grab that. Download it up here. We're going to open it. All right, and so we can type on them. I'm going to click on that yellow right there. And of course, just as we do all the time, what type of text is it? How do you know what type of text it is? Make predictions. While you're reading, check predictions. Were they correct? If not, what did you need to change? What is the author's purpose for writing? What's the goal, the objective? How is the text arranged? Is it in sequential order, chronological order? Does it have flashbacks? What's going on? Or is it topical? Why do you think it was organized that way? Check your accuracy, and after you read, you check the accuracy of your predictions. Were they correct? Did you need to revise them? What's the main idea of the text? One piece of information that supports the main idea, another piece of information that supports the main idea, and an example of a fact, an example of an opinion, and what is the author's tone or attitude in the text. Okay, and then we also have an observation sheet. So I'm gonna go ahead and download that and open it. And again, click this enable editing so that we can type. Got our name in there, Mrs. Jordan, and you can put the date or whatever, and we'll fill this out after we read. Okay, now that we've got that, I'm gonna click in here, and we've done 2 of 2, so we're gonna move on. Artist in Paris. Do you remember the setting of the story in Mary Cassatt? Do you remember how much she loved France? An American, she was one of the Impressionist artists in France near the end of the 19th century. Today's story also takes place primarily in Paris at the end of the 1800s. Paris was bustling with artists, musicians, writers, and actors such as Edgar Degas, Claude Monet, and Maurice Ravel. The city was alive with creativity, experimentation, and a zest for life. Okay, we don't have anything down there, so we're going to go on next. Pablo Casals. Now you'll read about another young artist and young Pablo Casals. Using the graphic organizer, employ your reading strategies before you begin reading, while reading, and after reading. So let's go ahead and pull that graphic organizer up. And so the title and author, and I'm going to pull this off to the side. Okay. Just know that I'm typing it in there, Pablo. Young Pablo Casals. I need to put young in front of it. Young Pablo Casals by, and I'm typing author. We don't know the author yet. Okay. So we're going to click here and it's going to take us to our story. Again, it's taking to our main page. Remember, we're in Influential People. That's the name of the unit. And here is Young Pablo Casals. It is by Mara Rockcliffe. So that's what I'm going to type. Mara, M-A-R-A, Rockcliffe. Okay. And what type of text is this? Well, we're going to have to read a little bit of it to figure it out. It's probably, like before, going to be a bio, but it could be historical fiction. What do we think it's going to be about? Well, obviously Pablo Casals, and probably, since he was an artist, it's probably also going to be about art. Pablo Casals stood like a statue on the busy sidewalk. People jostled past, shoving the slight young man from side to side. Casals barely noticed. He was too busy soaking in the sights and sounds of the great city. A double-decker bus lumbered, which jostled means push and lumbered means moved clumsily, down the boulevard, pulled by the three giant horses. Carriages of all shapes and sizes clattered over the worn stones. A fellow in a fashionable suit whizzed past on one of those strange-looking contraptions called bicycles, almost causing a traffic pileup. So a contraption is a machine or gadget. And at this time, bicycles were a new thing, so they did look kind of strange. Think if you've never seen a bicycle before. Might look kind of weird. Steam rose from the cart of a Chester vendor. Casals sniffed roasted chestnuts, yes, and another, less delicious odor, having to do with the many horses in the street. But something else was in the air. Energy, perhaps. Creativity, success. Ah, Paris. Not only musicians like Casals, but every young artist dreamed of Paris. Culturally, Paris at this time, at the dawn of the 20th century, was the center of the world. For musicians, writers, painters, and artists of all kinds, all roads seemed to lead to Paris. As Casals daydreamed while standing on the busy sidewalk, he imagined himself playing chess in a cafe with the... My picture always seems to be in the wrong place. Impressionistic painter Edgar Degas, sitting in a darkened theater, feeling the sudden hush of the celebrated actress Sarah Bernhardt took the stage. All right, celebrated is famous. But his fondest dreams have to do with music. So his most loved dreams have to do with music. For music was his life for this young cellist. All right, a cellist is someone who plays the cello. Perhaps the brilliant French composer Maurice Ravel would create a piece inspired by Casals and his cello. A weight slammed into Casals, nearly knocking him off his feet. Startled, he looked up to see broad, mustachioed face glowering at him, and that means staring angrily. Even if Casals could not understand all of the man's French words, he understood his vigorous gestures. Vigorous is energetic and forceful. It was time to move on. As he hurried away, he felt his pocket. A reassuring crinkle told him that the letter from the Count of Morphy was still there. He patted it and smiled. That letter was the ticket to success in Paris. That letter and his own extraordinary musical talent, of course. Casals thought the last time that he had come to Paris in the fall of 1894, he was still a teenager then, eager to leave his home country of Spain and make his way as a musician in the larger world. His mother and two small brothers, Enrique and Luis, came too. Casals' parents were devoted to his career. His father, a church organist, taught him music from a very early age. By the time he was 4, he could already play the piano, violin, and flute, and at 10, he took up the cello, which proved to be the instrument he was destined to play as no one had ever played before. Soon, his parents realized that he was ready for more advanced training than his father could provide. Senora, which is Spanish for Ms., de Casals looked at her 11-year-old son from the village of Vendrell to the city of Barcelona, and enrolled him in a music school. After 3 years, he played the cello better than his teacher. So she took him to Madrid to enter him in a Conservatory, and that's a school of music. There he also met the Count of Morphy, a powerful nobleman who became his great friend. After that, Casals and his mother moved on to France. With no means of support beyond the small sums the Signor de Casals was able to send, they found lodgings in the slums of Paris, and slums would be crowded areas of the city where the poor lived. Casals and his mother searched for work. His mother brought sewing home, but still they barely had enough to eat. One day, Casals met a violin student who told him of a job opening for a cellist. The job was in the orchestra of a second-rate music hall on the boulevard in Paris, called the Champs-Élysées. This orchestra played popular music for traveling vaudeville acts, and vaudeville is an entertainment that includes skits, singers, dancers, acrobats, comedians, just a whole bunch of things, and can-can dancers. And can-can is a kind of dance with very high kicks. Kind of like if you ever seen a drill team, they do their kick routines, kind of like that. All those years studying at the music schools in Barcelona and Madrid, learning the glorious suites of Bach and the bold sonatas of Beethoven. And suites are a piece of music that include dances. All that training and practice just to play dance hall music. Casals needed the money. He took the job. Tram fare to the music hall was 15 centimes enough to, tram is a streetcar, kind of like a trolley. And centimines is a small unit of French money, kind of like a penny or something like that. Buy a bit of bread. So Casals made a long walk every day, round trip, carrying his cello. He was barely 5 feet tall. The cello was nearly his own size. Winter came, and Paris turned bitterly cold. Casals became too sick to work. The family was left without the 4 francs a day, and francs is a type of money as well as French money. 100 centimes equals 1 franc. It's kind of similar to penny and a dollar. A day that he'd been earning at the music hall, and now his mother needed to buy medicine as well as food. One afternoon, Senora de la Casals came home. From his bed, Casals stared at her in dismay. What had happened to her magnificent long black hair? It was ragged and short. His mother had sold her hair to a wig maker for a few extra francs. She laughed at this horror. Never mind, she said. Don't think about it. It's only hair, and it grows back. Soon enough, even she had to admit that Paris was without enough food and heat was not a friendly place. The Casals family returned to Vendrell. There in Spain, warmth and sunlight, the young musician recovered. More than 4 years had passed since then. Now, as Pablo Casals brushed himself off and walked down the busy street of Paris, it was late 1899, and he was 23 years old. A new century was about to dawn. Surely this time Paris would open its arms to the charming little cellist who had already impressed the Queen of Spain. Once more, Casals felt for his letter. This time he did not smile. Just a few weeks ago, the Count of Morphy, who had been ill for some time, had died. The Count had been like a second father to Casals. This letter of introduction to the great French conductor, and a conductor is the leader of an orchestra, Charles Lemarou, was his last gift to his young friend. Okay, so as we see here in the way that he organized it, he started out at a certain point. He did a flashback, which is when he goes back and tells something that happened earlier in the person's life, and then he brings you back to the present time and goes from there telling the story. Okay, so be sure and mention that in your notes. It was no small gift. Lamour's Sunday concerts were all the rage among Paris society. A chance to play with his orchestra could open the door to international success. When he arrived, a boy showed Casals into the conductor's office. Lemarou sat at the table, hunched over some papers. He was completely absorbed in his work. For several minutes, Casals waited quietly, but Lamour didn't even look up. The young man began to feel embarrassed. At last he said, "I'm sorry, sir, to intrude upon your work. I only wish to give you a letter from the Count de Morphy." The conductor's head jerked up. From under his bushy eyebrows, he gave Casals a piercing glare. Why must he constantly be interrupted? Did people think his work was not important? Musicians came to him every day with letters praising their great talent. Was he expected to drop everything for some little Spanish cellist? Casals answered simply and with dignity, so nobility, self-respect, that the Count had trusted him to deliver his letter. Then he left. He had reached the lobby and heard footsteps pounding behind him. It was Lamoureux. Without a word, the conductor held out his hand. Casals gave him the letter, which he read. Then he said, "Come tomorrow, young man, and bring your cello with you." The next morning, Casals returned to the office. Again, the conductor was wrapped up in his work and ignored the young musician. Casals waited. Finally, Lamoureux snapped, "Play for me." Then he returned his attention to his work. Casals began to play the cello, part of a concerto. That's a musical piece which usually a soloist plays, and it's the main part accompanied by an orchestra. The first notes had hardly left his cello when Lamoureux put down his pen. A moment later, to the young man's astonishment or surprise, the conductor pushed himself to his feet. He stood leaning forward until Casals finished playing. Then he came forward and threw his arms around Casals. Tears glistened in the conductor's eyes. So glisten means sparkled. "My dear boy," he said, "you will play in my first concert next month." A few weeks later, Casals made his Paris debut with the Lamoureux Orchestra as a soloist. He played the same concerto he had played for the conductor in his office. Casals was an overnight sensation, and invitations piled up to play at concerts and recitals across Paris. "Suddenly, all doors were open to me," he wrote years later. He would go on to worldwide fame and many years of musical accomplishment. Other cellists strove to copy his technique. Eventually, he became a conductor and led his own orchestra. But he did not forget the family and friends who had helped make his success possible. "I had worked hard, it is true, but I had been greatly fortunate," he wrote. "Whenever I was, each of them was a part of me, and without any one of them, I would have been much less. That is why gratitude and the knowledge of my debt have never left me." I think that's the end, but I'm going to check. Yep, that is the end. All right, and we're going to click forward. After you've finished reading, young Pablo Casals, answer the question. So again, you can go back and fill out this form. I'm not going to go through this one as in depth as I did the other one. Go back and see and answer these and fill it out. If you need help, come see me in Health Lab, please, and tell me what you need help with. Okay, so when we come to these, as you know, anytime you see multiple choice questions, you need to open up a Word document. I'm going to open up over here on this other side. Let me move it to where you can see it, so you can see wrong thing. So you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, so when it opens up to this. I like to click on a blank document. I'm going to title it 1.06 review. Review questions, review whatever. And then what I will do is, I'm going to pull it over here for a second. First thing to do is going to copy, right click copy or Control C copy. Let me bring it over here so you can see it. Uh-oh. And I like to put number 1, Control V. Okay. Bring that back over to the second screen. And let me pull up where I left off, which is right here. All right. The letter that Pablo Casals carries with him is important because it, A, will permit him entrance to the Sorbonne, a famous university in Paris. B, it is a letter of introduction to the famous French conductor Lamoureux. C, it is a letter of introduction to the Count of Morphy, an influential person in French music. Or it is the last letter that Casals' mother wrote to him. Okay, pick your answer. I'm going to choose this one. I don't remember if I'm right or not. No, I'm wrong. I got it mixed up. It is, oh, try again. It is a letter of introduction to the famous French conductor Lamoureux. Let's check. Okay, so now that we know that this is the correct answer, we click copy. And again, bring our thing over here, and I put answer and Control V or paste. Right click and paste. And come down and put in number 2. And you do this for each question in this multiple choice section or review section. I'm not going to answer all of them, but I will read them to you. Casal's mother moved with him from city to city, finding whatever work she could. What conclusion can you draw about her? A, she believed in her son and was willing to make sacrifices for him. B, she was too afraid to let Casals do anything on his own. C, the family was poverty stricken and she traveled to find work. Or D, she knew that her son may get very sick. When you know the correct answer, be sure that you copy and paste the question and the correct answer into your review document. Number 3, why was Casals disturbed about playing music in a dance hall? A, he knew music halls do not play as well as symphonies. B, he was not able to ride the tram. C, he had trained and practiced hard to learn the complicated music of the greatest composers. C, he knew his mother would be upset by the kind of music he had to play. Then pick your answer. Once you know the correct one, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. If you need to pause the recording to get that done, that's fine. Then come back when you're ready. Number 4, which of the following is the best explanation for the conductor's behavior when he threw his arms around Casals with tears in his eyes? A, the conductor recognized that Casals is his distant relative. B, he was overwhelmed by the beauty of Casals playing. C, the conductor was angered by the time Casals took. Or D, he wanted to know where Casals learned to play. Again, pick your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy the question and correct answer into your review document. Number 5 and last question. How does the author use techniques of fiction to add drama to the story of Pablo Casals? Select all that apply. Provides details of setting. Creates dialogue. Lists facts. Shows characters' thoughts and feelings. Once you know all the correct answers, copy and paste the question and all of the correct answers into your review document. And then you're ready. There's no more slides here, so we're ready to move up here onto Excellence 4 module. Sensory details. The author in this piece begins the story by stating that Pablo Casals, and it has how you pronounce it, was busy soaking in the sights and sounds of the great city. To help the reader appreciate the sights and sounds Pablo Casals experienced, the author includes sensory details in the paragraphs that follow. Sensory detail is descriptive detail that appeals to any of the 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. Select the buttons to see how the author uses sensory detail to appeal to the reader's sense of sight, smell, and hearing. A double-decker bus lumbered down the boulevard, pulled by 3 giant horses. Carriages of all shapes and sizes clattered over the worn stones. A fellow in a fashionable suit whizzed past on one of those strange-looking contraptions called bicycles, almost causing a traffic pileup. Steam rose from the cart of a chestnut vendor. Casals sniffed roasted chestnuts, yes, and another less delicious flavor having to do with the many horses in the street. But something else was in the air. Energy, perhaps. Creativity. Success. Let's see the ones that have sense of sight. Lumbered. Okay, you saw the lumbering, the double-decker lumbering down the street, going slowly. Pulled by 3 giant horses. Carriages of all shapes and sizes. He saw a man and a fellow in a fashionable suit that whizzed past on a strange-looking contraption called a bicycle, and he saw steam rise from the cart of a chestnut vendor. Kind of like peanuts. We don't eat a lot of chestnuts here in America, but more like peanuts. Let's see if we can get sense of smell. Well, roasted chestnuts and a less delicious odor that the horses leave behind. Let's see what we have on sense of hearing. clattered over the worn stones. So can you hear that click, 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 click of the horse's hooves on stone? We go to 2 because there's slide 2. Without giving a date, the author suggested this is not a modern setting. Which details help establish the time period of the story? Select all that apply. And again, copy and paste this into your review document. The double-decker bus pulled by 3 giant horses, carriages of all shapes and sizes, strange-looking contraptions called bicycles, roasted chestnuts. Be sure you check all of those, or check to see which ones are right. And when you know the correct ones, copy and paste those in there into your review document. Excellence number 5. I think that's right. Let me go back and check. I think we did both of those. Yeah, we did both of those. So you can go back and check if you don't remember. Figurative language. Figurative language creates comparisons by describing what something is like. Metaphor, simile, and personification are all different forms of that figurative language. Check out these examples in each sentence. How is figurative language used? A double-decker bus lumbered down the boulevard pulled by 3 giant horses. Well, lumbered, in this example, the bus is given a human characteristic, lumbering. This is an example of personification, a form of figurative language which creates a clear image in the reader's mind. Culturally, Paris was the center of the world. In this example is a metaphor. It is used to compare Paris to the center of the world. This figurative language helps the reader understand how vibrant the art city was in Paris at that time, and it's still pretty much so today. Connotative language, on the other hand, doesn't make comparisons. Rather, connotative language evokes emotion and helps to explain how the subject feels. Check out these examples. How does the author evoke emotion or explain a feeling? Startled, he looked up to see the broad, mustachioed face glowering at him. Glowering. The word glowering gives the reader a better sense of a man's emotions. Remember, I need to look sternly. Had the author said looking at him or staring at him, the reader would have understood the emotion behind the look. Instead, by using the word glowering, the author lets the reader know that it was a look of anger and annoyance. Think about how you would feel if someone glowered at you. What emotions does that word evoke? Lumar sat at a table hunched over some papers. Hunch. The word hunch connotates a feeling of unhappiness and unfriendliness. The author could have used the word bent, but hunched gives the reader a sense of how unwelcome Casals was. All right, we're done with all those slides, so moving up. Excellent 6. Observation in Casals. Now fill out the observation sheet for Pablo Casals, adding details and examples from the story to illustrate your points. Remember to save this observation sheet for your module exam. So be sure that, let's open, oh, that's a word. Oh. I've almost got too many Word documents open. Hold on. Maybe that one. Yeah, here it is. So this is the one. So we're going to put in artist. What is the artist's name? Pablo. Something like that. Let me check the spelling. I have to have it on one screen and not the other, so I can see Pablo. Oh, it's just one S at the beginning. Casals. Okay. Character traits. So what character traits does he exhibit? Is he friendly? Is he determined? Is he friendly? Is he mean? Is he talented? All the things that you can think of for Casals. Then his motivation. What motivates him? Well, of course, music and playing the cello. What other things? Contributions to music and art. It didn't tell us a whole lot from that, but we know he's a well-known cellist. So there's that. And maybe you can find some other things told in the story. Or you can do some research and put it. Your opinion or response. What do you think? What did you think of this story? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Why? Why or not? Or why not? All right, once you filled out and finished that and saved it so that you can find it to use on your exam, excellent 7. Double negatives and well versus good. Example 1, I don't have no milk in the fridge. What is grammatically wrong with this example 1? Can you tell me? The problem is it contains 2 negative words, don't and no. If you don't have no milk, then you actually have milk. Because just like in math, if you're learning algebra, you take a positive number and add a positive. You take a negative number and add a negative number. Your answer is going to be positive. Okay, they cancel each other out. Okay, so 2 negatives make a positive in this case. So I don't have no milk means you do have milk. What would be a way to fix that sentence? How could we say it properly? I don't have any milk, or just take out the don't. I have no milk in the fridge. Okay, you got to take out one. I don't have milk in the fridge. You can even do that. Or you could say I don't have any milk in the fridge, but I don't have no milk. No. Example 2, I ran that race really good. What is grammatically wrong in this example? The problem is that good is an adjective being used incorrectly as an adverb. The word should be well, okay, in this example. So to correct it, we would say, I ran that race really well. All right. While many people misuse well and good and use double negatives in daily speech, these usages are considered grammatically incorrect and should be avoided. By understanding how to use these words correctly, you will be able to polish your writing and make it more professional. Why should you avoid double negatives? Double negatives are considered grammatically incorrect and unprofessional. The negative words actually cancel each other out, giving the sentence the opposite meaning of what it was intended. This is why a lot of Southern people get the stereotype that they're uneducated and ignorant because they, in their common speech, will use double negatives or misuse the words good and well properly. So, especially if you want to impress somebody, watch those double negatives and the use of good and well. Why is it important if we use well or good? Well is an adverb and should only be used to modify a verb, okay? Good is an adjective and should only be used to modify nouns. That's why you should say, I don't feel well. It's not I don't feel good. I don't feel well. All right, we're going on to slide 2. Correct usage for negatives and well and good. Try your hand at identifying sentences in which negatives are used correctly and incorrectly. Also try identifying the correct usage of well and good. Okay. My sister and I never dance. Is this correct or incorrect? And are we talking about, does it have well or good? Or and of course, in this one, we're doing negatives. Our negative in this sentence, of course, is never. So this is actually correct. It doesn't have a double. It only has one negative word, which is never. This sentence, we could not eat all that food. Again, we have a negative here, not. We could not eat all that food. Again, we've only got one negative, so it is correct. This is good spaghetti. Okay, good is modifying spaghetti. Is spaghetti a noun or a verb? Actually, this is correct because good is modifying spaghetti, which is a noun. Remember, good is an adjective, well is an adverb. So well modifies verbs, good modifies nouns. We couldn't never eat all that food. Is that correct? Well, of course, it's negatives. Do we have one negative or two negatives? If it's two, it's wrong. If it's one, it's correct. And of course, we have two negatives here. Couldn't and never. We couldn't never. Should be fixed by saying we couldn't eat all that food, or we will never eat all that food. Yeah. The best way I think would be we couldn't eat all that food. But that is definitely incorrect. My sister and I don't never dance. Again, is it one negative or two negatives? If it's two, it's incorrect. And if you chose incorrect, you're correct. We have two negatives, don't and never. My sister and I don't dance, or my sister and I never dance, but we don't put don't never dance. Roland can't swim good at all. Okay, we've got good, and it is modifying swim. Is swim a noun? If it is, it's correct. If it's a verb, it's incorrect. And in this case, swim is an action, something you do, so it's a verb. Therefore, good, this usage of good is incorrect. We should say Roland can't swim well. And I just leave off the at all. It's just kind of extra that we don't need. Yesenia is a well artist. Okay. Well is modifying artist. Is artist a verb? Because remember, well is an adverb. It's supposed to modify a verb. If artist is a verb, then it's correct. If artist is a noun, it is being used incorrectly. An artist is someone who paints. Now, if it says art, painting, if it said painting, like the action of painting, then it like Yesenia paints well. That would be correct. But we have Yesenia is a well artist. That is definitely incorrect. I didn't sleep well last night. Okay, well is our word. It's modifying sleep. Is sleep a verb? If it is, it's being used correctly because well, remember, is an adverb. If sleep is a noun, it is being used incorrectly. Sleep is something you can do. So therefore it is a verb, and therefore well is modifying a verb as an adverb as it should. So it is correct. I didn't sleep well last night. All right, let's check it. Ba, ba, da, ba. And if you want to copy and paste that and put it in your notes, that might not be a bad idea. Rules for usage. What are negative words? Negative words are used to describe what something or someone is not. Negative words include no, never, no, no one, none, not, and the contraction with an N apostrophe T, and nothing. Most of those start with an N. All of them start with an N. Just like you should never create a double comparison, you should never create a double negative. Never use more than one negative in a sentence to express the same idea. Jason and Lee can't never eat at Taco Bell. How would you correct this sentence? Have to check and see if you're right. Since can't and never are both being used to express the same idea, this is a double negative. To correct it, you need to pick just one. Jason and Lee can't eat at Taco Bell, or Jason and Lee can never eat at Taco Bell. You can use two negatives in a single sentence, just not to express the same idea. Kwame did not find Siri unattractive. So you can say, so if he did not find Siri unattractive, that means he thinks she's nice looking. While the author is using two negatives, they don't create confusion. In fact, these two negatives give subtle nuance to the sentence. It's a coy way to say that Kwame found Sherry attractive. There's also very specific rules when it comes to describing someone as good. Good is an adjective meaning that it is used to modify nouns. Well is an adverb. It can only be used to modify verbs. To determine which to use, you first need to decide what is being modified. Thomas cooks so well. Okay, well is modifying cooks. Cooks is an action, which means it's a verb, so it is being used correctly in this sentence. In this sentence, well is modifying the verb cook. Because well is an adverb, it's the best choice for this sentence. You wouldn't say Thomas cooks so good. Thomas cooks so well. That was a really good movie. All right, good is modifying movie. Movie is a thing, which means it is a noun. So in this sentence, you need an adjective to modify the noun movie. Good is the correct choice. That was a really well movie. Correct use. Review what you've learned to identify the correct and incorrect sentences. Again, copy and paste these into your review document. It is unusual. Yeah. Let me try this again. It is usually fine to use two negatives in a sentence, true or false. Hope you got it right. Be sure and copy and paste into your review document. The word good is an adverb and should be used to modify verbs, true or false. Check your answer. I hope you got it right. When you know the correct answer, copy and paste that into your review document. The word well is an adverb and should be used to modify verbs, true or false. Check your answer. And once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and answer to your review document. The following sentence is correct. My friends and I don't have no concert tickets. Is that true or false? Is that sentence correct? Yes? Or no, it's not correct, false? What's your answer? Check your answer. Did you get it right? Copy and paste that into your review document. You can pause this video. If I go too fast, stop it, get it copied, come back. The following sentence is correct. Alice and Jasper won't go to the beach again. Is that true or false? Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste into your review document. The following usage is correct. Henry doesn't find Kate unattractive. True or false? Check your answer. Did you get it right? When you know the correct answer, copy and paste into your review document. The following sentence is correct. I played so good in my volleyball game. True, false? Check your answer. Did you get it right? Copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. The following sentence is correct. Alan ate well after this long hike. True, false? Check your answer. Don't forget to copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. The following sentence is correct. This is a well movie. True or false? Check your answer. If you got it right, even if you didn't. When you know the right answer, copy and paste into your review document. Last question. The following sentence is correct. Amber listened to good music on the chairlift. True or false? Check your answer. Did you get it right? All right. Copy and paste that into your review document, and we're ready to move on to excellent 8, unless there is an 8. There is an 8. Lesson check. Check your knowledge. Pablo Casals stopped at nothing in his pursuit of excellence. Though he was discouraged several times, he never gave up on his dream of playing cello professionally. Because of his persistence, he reached and exceeded his goal. Through the author's use of figurative and connotative language in the story, we were able to follow Casals' journey and feel what he was feeling in his pursuit of excellence. Ask yourself these questions to check your knowledge. By the way, this is a picture of him right there. Number 1, how are figurative and connotative language different? Write your answer down, jot it down. Maybe put it in your review. The answer? Figurative language is language that describes a person, place, thing, or idea or event by comparing it to something else. Connotative language deals with the emotional weight of words. Number 2, how can you avoid the use of double negatives? I ain't got no time for this. How could we fix that? I don't have any time for this. I don't have time for this. Remember, the words no and not, as well as contractions won't, don't, aren't, that are formed with these words. Okay, all of those are negative words. So be a negative Nancy. Number 3, how do you know when to use well and when to use good? Might want to copy this down in your review. Well is an adverb and should be used to modify verbs. Good is an adjective and should be used to modify nouns. Before you proceed to the quiz, be sure that you have completed all the activities in this lesson. That means all the way back to 1.01. But mainly you're going to be tested over 1.04, 1.05, and 1.06. Go ahead and pull up those stories. Be sure you have those handy in your literature that you know where they're at, where you can find them over here so that you can look back at those stories as you do that quiz. As you know, I'm not going to do the quiz with you. Have your review document from 1.04, your review document for 1.05, and your review document from 1.06. Okay, and then take the quiz, okay? 5 total points, 5 total questions, estimated time, 5 minutes, but take as much time as you need, okay? Don't just zip through it. You have 3 attempts to take this. Do your best work, okay? If you need text-to-speech, there should be, if you have that accommodation, it should be up there. If you're not seeing that, please let me know so that it can be read to you if you need it read to you, all right? And have any of those things that you downloaded, any of those, things that you filled out, any of those graphic organizers you filled out, or, any of that stuff, have it pulled up from lesson 4.0, 1.04, 1.05, and 1.06. Remember, we read the stories. 1.04 was where you wrote, you did a writing activity. 1.05, we did that story about the Casat, and then this one about Pablo Casals. All right. If you need anything or still confused about anything, or you take this and then you take it the first time and you make a poor grade, go back over these 3 lessons, watch my video, be sure you took really good notes, maybe take some better notes the second time through and try it again. If after that second attempt, you're still not scoring well, please come see me in Help Lab, okay? Rewatch these videos, come see me in Help Lab, reach out for help, okay? Before you take that 3rd and final attempt, okay? All right, I hope you found this video helpful. Good luck on the quiz. I believe in you, and I will see you in class. Bye.